I'm Mark Callan, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. This is my 6 months update with the HYDROS. I've been using it for 6 months now. Today I'm going to give you my take on it. Now if you missed this whole video series, there's two parts to it. One, myself, the old dog who's got to learn new tricks because I'm used to a different controller ecosystem. And then there's Jimmy Newbie Reefer, who's never had a controller. What is his take on having a controller on a tank and working with HYDROS? So if you missed Jimmy's part of the series, you missed my part of the series, make sure you go back and watch it so you're completely up to speed. But today, what's my take after having the HYDROS and running it for 6 months? Quick recap, I started with the X4, then I got the XP8, and then I got the launch. Now if I had to do it all over again, I would start with the launch, but the launch wasn't out when I started this video series. So what's my take on all this? Spoiler alert, I don't hate the HYDROS system. Clearly, because I kept adding on new modules into my HYDROS ecosystem. But no product is perfect. There's always things that I'd like to see different. Maybe some things that even annoyed me, but there's nothing in the HYDROS system that I'm like, forget it, this is not for me, I'm out. So that being said, what have I liked? What have I not liked? And maybe what would I like to see different? Let's jump into it.
We'll start on the software side. The graphical user interface took a little getting used to. That's no different than if you're running a car. You know the wipers are somewhere over there and the turn signals are probably on the other side of the column, but you're not exactly sure where. One thing I like to see different with the interface is quicker access to the outlet on-off auto selection. Right now you have to select the tile to bring up the on-off auto selections. I'd like to not have to click on the tile to bring up these options.
I can understand having to click on a tile to bring up the on-off auto settings as a means of safety, because if you have to make that step before you can get to the on-off or auto, then it's going to help prevent fat fingers or you putting the device in your pocket before you close the device, which is a means of safety. So all that makes sense, but ultimately I would like to leave that choice up to the user. A way that I can set up the user interface, have a radio button that says, hey, you know what, I'm okay not having to click on the tile to bring up that on-off auto, leave it up to me. I'll accept the risk. I would just like faster access to on-off or auto.
Pinch zooms on the graph right off the status screen is super nice. I can dive right into the data point for what I'm looking for. I also like that I can select minutes, hours, days for quick graphs. I like that I can filter the logs by outlet. This keeps me from having to sift through all the data log to find exactly what I'm looking for. It would be nice to see a feature to be able to sort the data by day or time so I can really zone in on the data point without much scrolling. Having to create outlets and inputs and probes took some getting used to, but now that I'm used to it, I actually prefer having to manually add the outlet, the input, or the probe, as it forces me to immediately configure what I'm adding to my system. I also like that I can roll back the configuration of my HYDROS with a few clicks. This way, if something gets corrupted, I can simply jump back to the previous configuration. That's fantastic.
Turning to the hardware side of things, I love that each module in the HYDROS ecosystem has built-in Wi-Fi. And each module has a configuration for the rest of the HYDROS system. This is much different than a central brain concept where the central brain provides the connection to the internet and only it has a configuration for the rest of the system. So in the HYDROS world, if one module goes down and it's providing the link to the internet, another one grabs onto the Wi-Fi, it sends me an alert and says, hey, this module's messed up, you need to go check it out. And if something is wrong with that module that went down, I can simply replace it and then take the configuration, dump it off from the old module onto the new one. This is done in a matter of minutes, matter of clicks, and I'm done. Much simpler than having to replace a brain, get it on my internet, and then rebuild everything by hand because only the configuration for the rest of the system is housed on that central brain. So really like that about the HYDROS. Really happy with that, knowing that level of redundancy. And if something really goes wrong, it's very simple to rebuild just that one module in the system.
A mounting plate would be nice for a cleaner looking install versus these visible screws. Now that's being picky and it's not a deal breaker. I'm still getting used to the idea of having to use terminators. I would love to see a flat terminator. That would make for a cleaner install, and for me, part of the install of hardware is art, so I get really into the details about that stuff. I like the visual alerts being built into the units. If something goes wrong and you have the alert level set to red, you or anyone around the HYDROS can't miss the alert. Oh, and the salinity probe has been spot on every time I've checked it against a refractometer. Finally, I have a salinity probe that I can trust and actually use.
Even though I'm used to a completely different approach, completely different ecosystem when it comes to controllers, setting up the HYDROS and getting it up and running, learning it was super simple. I actually expected myself to struggle more than I did. I haven't hit any major bumps in the road that left me frustrated. And look, no product is perfect. There are certainly things I would like to see different with the HYDROS. I outlined them in this video, but none of it's like, forget it, I can't live with this, it's not the window. If someone's thinking about adding a controller to their tank, they've never had a controller, or they're looking at switching into the HYDROS ecosystem, I don't hesitate to recommend it. Now, who knows what they're coming up with next? I'm certainly going to keep my eye on the HYDROS world, keep my HYDROS system up and running on my tank, and who knows what's next. I'm Mark Callahan, Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. Until next time, enjoy your tanks, happy controlling. I'll catch you in the next episode.